Hi everyone, Rob here. Just a quick update. Just doing a quick video on the $10 million ACR Venom tournament, and which I played during the week. I managed to qualify for it. It's a $2,650 entry tournament, and it was the biggest tournament I've ever played in before. The previous highest tournament I've been in was around about £550, which is around about $700. So $2,650 was a big tournament for me to play in, massive. So here we've got the spin to get in, which I used. You can bet sizes, I think, from 1 cent to $1, and I bet 1 cent, which is less than a penny, and I get entered into the $2,650 Venom tournament, which was in late registration at the time, and I wasn't expecting to get in for 1 cent, so I was caught a bit in the hop. I wasn't expecting to play, even though I was doing these spin to get in. I didn't realistically expect to get in to a $2,650 tournament for about 1 cent. I think there's a 2% house edge, so I think it was around about 300,000 to 1 if you were to do 1 cent. If you were to try and get in with this spin to get in and get 3 of a kind, I think it was around about 300,000 to 1. Maybe just not quite as much as that, but close in terms of odds to get in. So I played it. I wasn't expecting to be playing, but I wasn't happy with how I played. There was a lot of people who were rebuying, playing aggressively, just bet. There was a few hands. I've got most of the tournament that I played in. I might post the hands from it, the full video. Let me know if you would like to see the full video. I wasn't playing for that long, maybe a couple hours, but I was kind of disappointed with how I played, and obviously I had I get knocked out in day 1A. I was on a high qualifying for 1 cent, and then I had a low of getting knocked out of my biggest tournament on day 1A, when I think there's around about $2 million top prize. So that was a bit devastating, but tournament's still going on just now, so you can still play and qualify just now. But I'm going to play the hand and just quickly go over it and my thoughts about the hand that I get knocked out with. I was quite angry with how I played the hand, and there was a couple of different routes that it could have went. So I'll just play the footage now and just review the hand. I think this is it here. So I'm on the cut off, and I'm looking down at ace jack offsuit. I think it folds round to me, and I do a small raise. I think this might be the hand because I get ace jack a couple of times. In fact, it might not be. No, it's not that hand. I had 2 hands with ace jack. Here it is here actually. Yep, so it does get folded out to me. I'm on the hijack. I make it just above 2x, and the person on the button calls here, and the person in the small blind and the big blind both call. So So we get two calls, and it's ace 8 deuce rainbow. So I'm liking my hand just now. I've got any aces with a jack kicker, so reasonably happy with my hand at this stage. I don't particularly love it, but I'm quite happy with it. So just looking at it, I bet in position on the flop. So as you can see, I bet half pot. I just wanted to say as well, it's quite possible that the people in the small blind and big blind are calling with a small pocket pair. I'm not going to be putting anybody on aces, and I doubt anybody's going to have eights, but I do think it's a distinct possibility, and I thought about this when the flop came down, that somebody might have twos, threes, fours, fives, even sixes. So I knew it was a possibility that somebody might have a set here, but I didn't want to give any free cards. I was quite happy with my hand. I thought I could check on the flop in position. I could check back and see what happens in the turn. But I decided to bet half pot, which I'm kind of like okay with, and it's quite a dry board. And then we get one call here by the small blind. He had initially checked the flop very quickly, and you know, the small blind, big blind, we'd expect maybe they could call with a small pair. A four of diamonds comes on the turn, making a potential flush draw. I wasn't really concerned about 3-5 being a possibility, but I do think that there is a possibility when the flop came down as well that somebody might have a weaker ace. So ace 8, ace 2, ace 4 is definitely a possibility for the player on the small blind. So I'm conscious of that as well as potentially even pocket 2s or pocket 4s even that have got me beat 2. So as you can see here, I bet about just over 1/3 pot. And small tank and a call. The river comes a jack, making me 2 pair. I'm not concerned about the flush draw. I doubt that there's any way he's going to be calling with a flush draw on the flop, ace 8 deuce with ace of diamonds. I just can't see him calling that bet. The jack of diamonds comes. It's a great hand for me if he's got a hand like ace 8, ace deuce, ace 4, you know, the 2 pair, he's got a made hand, and I've just beat him on the river. So I'm definitely thinking that those hands are on the radar, but again, small pocket pairs are definitely a possibility as well. However, if he has played it like that, he's played it very conservatively. He checks on the river, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, possibility I could just check back on the river, but I just think it's just quite a weak and negative play, and I'm not taking the value out of the hand of getting 2 pair, especially if he's called with ace 2, ace 4, ace 8, just check called, check called, check called on 3 streets, on 2 streets so far. So I bet around about 1/3 of pot. I put quite a lot of chips in at this stage. I put, I think, over half my stack in the pot, and when I do bet there, I do feel as though I'm pot committed, and he tanks for a short period of time, and Spank Toshi shoves the river. Now, I take a long tank for this, thinking all of the hands, the ranges that he's got, and the way he would play that hand. I'm thinking that there's a possibility he's got ace 8, ace 2, ace 4, pocket 2s, possibly pocket 4s, in his range of hands. He could potentially also have a hand like ace king and thinks that, you know, he may have the best 8 and have me beat there as well, although that might be a wee bit more unlikely, ace king. It's kind of like a strange play. You know, the check, call, check, shove all in. You know, I could quite easily have pocket aces, pocket jacks in my hand as well. You know, so he needs to have a strong holding if he's going to be confident of winning the hand. I don't put him on a flush. I don't put him on 3-5. So I've sort of eliminating those two hands from his range. I don't think he's got a set of aces. I don't think he's got a set of 8s. I think he would have raised pre-flop with those hands. He's not going to call 3-5. I don't think it's too weak. And I don't think he would have called down with the flush draw on the flop and the turn. So sort of thinking the ranges as he's flopped a big hand and he's decided to play it like this, just check call, and then just check shove the river through as a strategy with a strong holding. So I'm thinking that those are the hands that I'm up against potentially. Ace 8, ace 2, ace 4, pocket 2s, and an outside possibility of pocket 4s. So I'm thinking those sort of 3, 4, 5 hand combinations with pocket 4s a little bit more unlikely, but a possibility. So as you can see, I tanked for quite some time. I was thinking it through in my head, and I make the call. He tables the pocket 2s. Interesting way to play it. As I say, I could have easily had aces or jacks there, or pocket 8s in that spot. And you know, he's value killing himself basically, but you know, I suppose he played the hand well. I do feel that the way the hand played out, that if he had donk leaded on the flop, the turn and the river, I was going to call all 3 streets. I do think, analysing the hand, I would have called all 3 streets. It was a big tournament. There was a lot of bluffs going around in the tournament, and for me, I felt pot committed. I was betting for value in the river, and I just wasn't going to fold, because if he had shown me a bluff in that situation, I just couldn't take that, because I had been bluffed before tonight. I had called and players had got away with it, or they got lucky in the river with previous prior bluffs as well. There was some people rebuying a few times as well, trying to build up their stack. So that was the hand. So I just wanted to share the hand and the tournament, and just to let you know about me playing the tournament and highlighting this hand as well, because this is one interesting hand. Let's say that I could have played differently. So I mean, taking his donk bets, you know, if he didn't donk bet, he just check called all the way and then check raised the river. You know, one thing I thought of that I could have done differently in the hand is I could have bet slightly smaller on each street, because you know, on the flop I wasn't too sure, on the turn and the river as well, I wasn't too sure if I had the win in the hand. I could have bet smaller, quarter pot each time, and I could have probably got away in the river a lot easier, because I hadn't committed the same amount of chips. And one of the other things that I could have done is I could have checked the flop, so I could have controlled the size of the pot better, or I could have checked the river as well, because I was unsure in what type of hands were going to call me. But as I said, you know, I think there was a few hands that he could have called me with. Ace 8, Ace 2, Ace 4, definitely strong hands, made hands that are going to call me, and potentially any other ace as well. So I think there's plenty of value out there. But you know, at the end of the day, we both had made hands. I had 2 pair. He had a set. There was straights out there potentially. There was flushes out there potentially, and there was bigger sets out there potentially as well. So he's made a calculation there as well that he feels as though his hand is good. However, there is a lot of combinations of hands that have got him beat as well. You know, he's taking a risk there as well, because definitely I could have easily had a higher set as well if I'm betting for value on the river, and potentially I'm thinking he's got a weaker holding. So that's the hand. Really disappointed and gutted that I didn't get any day 2 of the Venom, the biggest tournament I've played in before. Disappointed with the hand that I get knocked out with. I think it could have played out differently. I don't think you would classify it as a cooler. They were both made hands, but I don't think it was a cooler. If he donked out and bet all 3 streets, I think it would have been the same outcome. I would have got knocked out as well. You know, I don't love the way he's played the hand. However, I'm disappointed with how I played the hand and how I controlled it. I had options to check the flop, check the river, as I said, and possibly I could have found the fold there as well. With this video, I would really love to hear from you, and let me know how you interpret this final hand that I was in this tournament, and how you would have played it, what you would have done differently, or you know, what you think my opponent's range is. If you think my opponent had a certain range, I would love to hear back from you about this hand, and also if you're going to play the Venom tournament, or if you are playing in it and qualified for day 2, or you get knocked out, I'd also love to hear from you to find out how you're getting on in the tournament as well, and wish you luck in playing in the rest of the tournament. But that's it just now. Just a quick video with this one hand. If you let me know in the comments as well if you want me to post the video of the tournament, and maybe I can discuss some of the hands that I was involved in. The other hands that I was involved in quite a few. That would be good too. So I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, if you can subscribe and like the video, it would really help me grow the channel. And also there is also links as well in the section below the video, so if you want to go and visit the website, if you want to go and maybe chat with me on Discord, etc., there's links there as well. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye for now.